Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Rachel Reeves is getting desperate. I mean, totally desperate now. She's run out of things to tax. And it doesn't matter what else she taxes, it'll never be enough because they keep wanking money away and sending it abroad, for example. Billions upon billions abroad, billions upon billions on green initiatives that won't work, billions wasted and not spent where it needs to go. And still they need more and more and more. And so she's hit on the disastrous idea that she's going to cut the allowance for cash ISAs to just £4,000 a year instead of £20,000 a year. Now, if you have £20,000 and you put it away, that'll earn you about £1,000, and that's interest. That's tax-free. £1,000 in interest, nice there, tax-free. You ain't worried. You know, you don't even have to declare it. Now, she's saying, oh, you can only put £4,000 a year away, which means instead of earning £1,000 a year tax-free, you can only earn, £200 a year tax-free. Now, for anyone who wants to save up, invest money and say, I'll make my elder years better by having this to add to my pension, is now disinclined to do it because, well, the return isn't there. You're not allowed to earn it because anything extra over the 4,000 you have to pay interest on. So they get you again. Sorry, not interest on. You have to pay tax on that interest. So they're getting you again. It's a disincentivization to save for the future, which means you are more likely to be needing state assistance in the future, or at the very least, your life will be more miserable than it otherwise would be. So you have to ask if that's the real reason. On top of this, the banks don't want it. The banks want you to put cash into the banks. They need lots of cash. They need high cash flow. Banks only work if people put cash in. But Reeves does not understand this because she really is an incredibly dumb bint, isn't she? And so she's done this thing. So cash is going to come out of the banks. People aren't going to put the cash in. The banks are going to have a massive cash flow problem. The problem with the cash flow problem is banks then find it difficult to lend because they haven't got the cash to lend. And so lending dries up, which shrinks and tanks an economy. But the genius that is Rachel Reeves doesn't understand any of this because she doesn't understand how money works. She doesn't understand how banking works, despite lying and telling everybody that she worked as an economist in a bank. Clearly not. She hasn't got the first fucking clue. So banks don't want it. Savers don't want it. Anyone who wants to save for their future is screwed. And what will it do? How much will it raise? Actually, not that much. Here's the thing. If they hadn't spunked 11 billion giving, Sudanese farmers lessons in interpretive dance or whatever they spent the 11 billion on in Africa, she wouldn't need to do it at all. If they weren't wanking away 20 billion on carbon capture, which will do fuck all because China and India alone account for more than the rest of the world combined, then she wouldn't need to do any of this shit. So this isn't really raising money because of needing money. This is raising money in order to give us all a good punishment kicking. Keep us poor, keep us miserable, keep us down. It is, of course, the Marxist way. They don't want happiness. They don't want people rich enough to fuck off out of this country and leave the rest to go down the drain. But that's what they're intending to do. There is no stopping her. And yet, for such a small amount, people would put money away and it would save the state so much money in the long term. But, banana-brained fuckwit Rachel Reeves hasn't got a clue. She just doesn't understand it. She sits there with her room temperature IQ going, I've got a great idea. Ha, ha, ha. I'm going to stop them getting their tax-free income. Ha, ha, ha. Why is the banks collapsing? That's how dumb she is. She's not just dumb, she's criminally dumb now. Banks will struggle. Why aren't the banks getting onto the phone and saying, Oi, fuckwit, what are you doing, you stupid? And then using a word that I'm not going to use on YouTube. But that's what this is. If she goes after the stocks and shares ISA next, which is still currently 20,000, but if she goes after the stocks and shares ISA next, let me tell you how bad it's going to be. The investment will drop massively. Share prices will fall through the floor. Companies become worth a lot less. And at that point, they can't access credit. They can't access investment loans. Nobody wants to touch them with a barge pole. And the whole economy goes through the floor. Again, I think she will, because I think that's part of the plan. Nobody that stupid should be allowed into power. The fact she is means that it's all planned for. They want failure. This is where they're going. Make Britain shit. Make Britain third world. It's where they're going. It's what they're doing. And every inch of it is deliberate. There's no way it can't be now. This is beyond just getting things wrong. This has got to be the plan. You know, once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, 3 times, that's enemy action. Now, the financial institutions up and down are basically preying on the Chancellor's weaknesses. All around the world, they're shorting the pound, and they're going to be shorting every British company now. They'll all start be shortening these, expecting the share prices of British companies to drop. And when they do, they'll come in and this country will be skinned alive. This woman has got no idea. And do you think, you know, it's a tax break. It's a very small tax break that people use to look after themselves in their old age, as I say, and to cut it by 80% immediately in one fell swoop. It's madness, isn't it? But cash ISAs are now dead. Nobody's going to touch them. And so the financial institutions that offer them, they'll just cut them and just say, nah, they're just not going to bother anymore. And that'll be more people laid off. The people who work for these places that do the cash ISAs, they'll be unemployed. Really, Rachel Reeves, please write down on a piece of paper your thought processes for every decision you've ever made. And then let's all laugh at them. And then commit you to a mental institution where you belong. If you're in your 70s or 80s when the stock market crashes, it hits both your income and your wealth. You know, that's the rest of your life is fucked, isn't it? And the stock market will crash. And if she goes after the stocks and shares ISAs, it'll crash even faster. What she's doing again is destroying the elderly. They really have got it in for old fuckers, haven't they? As they see them. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody does. But you can guarantee one thing. It's not going to end well. This woman, I think, I believe she's a traitor. I believe she does know what she's doing. I believe she's trying to pretend that she's a fuckwit. Actually, the more I think about it, the more I realise she's not. It's all a load of bollocks, and she's deliberately destroying this country. She's a quisling. She's a traitor, and we need to prosecute her. She certainly needs to be dragged in chains around every town and city in this country, so people can see exactly who the enemy is. Thanks very much. Bye.